Internet. So, you think you know Watch Dogs? Well, I'm inclined to tell you that what you think you know, you really don't. Okay, so I was originally going to do this whole review with the mask and try to do a Bane voice, but I don't think my Bane accent is very good, so I guess just do it normally. But then again, this isn't really going to be a review. This is really more or less just going to kind of be my thoughts and my opinion on the game of Watch Dogs, because, to be fair, I haven't beaten it. I have played a good amount of it, but, well, so anyway, here we go. These are my thoughts on Watch Dogs.
Watch Dogs was made in 2014 by developer Ubisoft Montreal and published by Ubisoft, and is an open-world action-adventure game with a stealth and hacking mechanic as well.
It's a good game. That's about it. I mean, it's pretty good. The story is pretty damn weak. Aiden, as a lot of other people have already pointed out, he's a pretty terrible character. He's incredibly bland. He's pretty emotionless. The only other emotions he ever really seems to feel is emo, which is kind of sad, but not really showing sadness, just being like, kind of pouty. And then there's anger. That's pretty much it. Those are his only... Actually, technically, he has 3 emotions. There's one, which is absolutely nothing. There's emo, and then there's angry. That's it. And he's angry all the damn time. And he's incredibly hypocritical.
Who's assigned to the prison job?
What? Man, I don't know what you're talking about.
Lance Brenner. As a family.
What are you doing?
I'm asking how your family is.
You're inside. How'd you get inside, man?
You know, it was pretty simple. These high-tech security prisons, they make it quite easy, really. So you're in here for 60 days. In good behavior, you're out in 30. What does that say?
60 years? What are you doing, man?
I'm just showing you an alternate future.
Like, you got scenes like these, where he's threatening these people, and you're supposed to root for him? Now, maybe that was the game... Now, maybe that was the original game's idea, was that it was meant to say, well, vigilantism is wrong, and blah, blah, blah. Like, well, there are better characters that have done a better job of being a vigilante. Freaking Batman is the core example of a good vigilante, and has been able to tell an ever-engrossing story with a 3-dimensional character. And yeah, this Aiden character, he's basically a small-time Batman with the worst superhero name, the Vigilante. Yeah, that's not very clever, dude. Alright, so let's get down to brass tactics, gameplay-wise.
The hacking mechanic is actually pretty fun once you get used to it. You can bump around from camera to camera and activate explosives, distractions, namely setting off car alarms or steam pipes. You can set off your enemy's grenades. You can unlock other doors. You can activate protectors in the floor that will rise up for such things for you to hide behind to protect yourself from gunfire. And you can also use it to point out a lot of the other enemies that you might not be able to see, or maybe even find your way around an area to help you get where it is that you need to get to. The combat mechanic is pretty simple as well. You have a cover-to-cover mechanic that does what it needs to do. It can be a bit tricky if you're first playing and you just want to escape cover. That can be a bit of a pain, but eventually I learned if you just push the circle button, you'll just exit from cover. And then when you go to aim, there is an auto lock that will just automatically aim at whatever the closest enemy that you happen to be looking at and just point and shoot. You also have a melee attack that, depending on the moment you try to use it, it may not be effective. So if you're in a heavy combat situation and you're trying to avoid killing, it's probably just better if you just kill them and get them the hell out of the way. Here is a big glaring problem when you first start the game. A little thing called Uplay. Now, as you'll notice, I am able to skip over it, but the fact that so many people have complained about this mechanic is something that seems to be trying to be forced down our throats. I mean, yeah, it's skippable, but actually, I wonder if on other gaming systems, the PS4, the Xbox One, or even the PC, if this is something that you can't skip, if it is something that you have to use in order to play the game. One last thing for me to mention here that is another pretty big negative. The load times, as you'll notice on this game, are almost infuriating. Especially when it comes to a point when you're playing a mission, you die, and then you have to wait for it to reload. Then you start again, and then you die immediately again, over and over and over. And then, when you quit a mission, the game has to reload. The load times are they feel too long, and it feels like it drags. It's very irritating.
Stealth mechanics are there, maybe not entirely necessary, and really kind of pointless, because the rest of the time you are kind of forced to have to fight your way through every single situation. You can't just sneak around. You have to fight. And the driving mechanics suck. The only vehicle I have actually driven that I had no problems with was the motorcycle, but you're not going to be able to find those around all that much. Again, the story is weak. A lot of the other characters are pretty goddamn terrible. And since I already know how this game ends, it's even stupider to consider what happens with some of these other characters. Like, you get reintroduced to the guy that you worked with at the beginning of the game. I forget what his name was. It was Damien or something like that. And he turns into this cold-blooded asshole who just full-on wants to use you. He wants you to work for him, so much so that he's willing to threaten your family.
You know, the real tragedy here is that somebody like you was surrounded by so many fragile things. It makes you fragile.
Where?
That's not how it works.
You don't want to answer that.
Yeah. Nikki, where are you? Nikki!
Stop and think. You fuck around and she is dead.
He doesn't even consider the fact that Aiden is gonna kill you. Any other person in that situation, like, if it were me, and you were threatening my family, and making me work for you, and I had all this incredible hacking ability technology at my fingertips, and I was good at what I was doing, that I was a pro, and then you fuck me, what do you think is going to happen when I do this job for you, and of course you know there's going to be a double cross, and you let my family go? You really think I'm just going to let you slide? Fuck no. I'm going to fuck you 8 different ways, in any way that I can, to get even with you. And then I'll kill you, is what's going to happen. It's just incredibly stupid. And as a few other people have pointed out, the only really interesting character is the hitman assassin character who helps you out, Jordy.
Hi. Oh, fuck. Jordy, who are they?
Well, they live here.
What happened?
Well, security in these buildings is pretty tight. So people like this feel nice and secure living way up here. I mean, these people just had a simple chain lock on their door. I guess they want to have a good look at the pizza guy before they open it all the way.
All right, fine, sure. So about this problem.
Well, that's why I brought the bolt cutters. He opens the door this much, there's a chain right there. I slip him in and snip, and guess what? It's not the pizza guy.
He's really the only guy who's actually interesting and colorful and funny, and many other people have pointed out, just make a game about him. Why not? Okay, so from all the recorded footage that I have, and then playing this game when not recording, I'm not really even sure exactly how far into the game I've gotten. I mean, I don't really even myself know how long the game is, but there were so many times I just became too frustrated with particular missions, how you were supposed to beat them. And bear in mind, every time I was playing and recording, the game looks fine on the PlayStation 3, but every other time I'm recording, again, I have to use the composite connection in order to record, because PS3, Sony's original, copyright infringement bullshit, which would stop you from using the HD connection. So, every other time there is any written dialogue, it's too goddamn hard to read. So any other instructions I would get, I would have a hard time reading, so any ability I was given that could be used, I was probably not aware of. So the whole slow-mo focus effect, I didn't use at all. I didn't use a lot of the other collectibles, like I didn't use a lot of the distraction stuff. Namely because, it just wasn't really important. Either that or I could just use the environment around me. And then, there were a lot of frustrating missions that I ended up just quitting. So far there were really only two that I ended up quitting and just got really annoyed with, and just like, I don't care. Overall, I think this game is fine. It's not incredible. It's not great. This was a game I was originally pretty hyped up about. Then when I got delayed, and then, and you started hearing things like the idea that they lowered the graphics for it. I don't know if that's actually true. Well, I guess actually it is true when you look at the comparisons that many other people have made. Yeah, the original demo that they showed looked better than the game that you got. Of course, I'm playing it on a last generation system. So yeah, $60 is not worth it. I would say get this game when it's lowered in price. Maybe 30, maybe 20 bucks, maybe 15. It is a good, fun game. The story is not very good. It feels very cliched. And you just don't feel with a character. And it's hard to feel with a character that you don't like and that really doesn't have a character. So, if I were to rate this game, I would give this game a 6 out of 10. This felt like a pretty average game to me. But I was still enjoying myself. I did really have to force myself to sit down and play more of the game in order to capture and record more footage that I could use for this video. But, and anytime that you have to force yourself to play more of a game, that's obviously not very good. Obviously you need to be in the mood for, oh wow, I want to play more of this. But that's not how I was feeling with this. So. And to be honest, a lot of the time, when I do feel like, oh, I really want to play more, I have felt like that about Hearthstone. I felt like that about Volgar the Viking, and and the Angry Video Game Nerd, or Skyrim, or various other games. But my attention span is pretty limited on video games, so sadly. So it seems the only time I can ever really sit down to bother to play is if I'm going to record. Well, anyway, there you have it. Those are my thoughts on Watch Dogs. Maybe not the most original thoughts, but it's just me being honest with how I feel about a game. So I hope that you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think. Did you enjoy Watch Dogs? Were you at all disappointed by it? Would you have given it a lower score? Let me know. And I'll see you guys next time for whatever else I got cooking. I am going to try to work on the next episode of Adamantium Rage and try and see if I can finish that up. I'm not able to get past the current level that I'm at. I've never been able to. So I might borrow a Let's Player's video footage. I will at least ask for their permission, and I will give them credit. I'm not a scumbag. So, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.